Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're interested in videography or photography tips, just like the ones I'm going to tell you in this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because a lot more will be coming out in the future. In my wedding videography career, I have shot 3 videos and helped shoot 2. And I have shot 1 wedding for photography. I wouldn't have what you would say the deepest resume in wedding videography and photography. However, I wanted to share a couple tips through the lens of someone who doesn't have that much experience. So maybe you're like me, who have only shot a couple weddings and you need a couple pointers, or maybe you haven't even shot your first wedding and it's coming up. So the first tip is probably what I think the most important and the one that you would use the most as you gain experience through wedding videography or photography, and it's to hire a second shooter. The most obvious reason to do this is to get the most coverage possible. When shooting a wedding, especially your first, you'll notice that things are moving really fast. Sometimes important moments happen at the same time. The most important event being the bride and groom getting ready at the same time. And for video or photo, you want to make sure that you capture these moments. Having a second shooter is like you being able to be at 2 places at once, especially if you hire someone that's a lot more experienced that you trust. It may be a higher rate, but it will definitely show in the final product. You can be easy to tell that second photographer or videographer to go any location and trust that they're going to get the coverage that you wouldn't be able to get. I know that a lot of these can be remedied by cheating the shot. If you don't know what that means, it's pretty much like an instance when a bride and groom is getting ready. Say you only have time to get the bride, so when the groom arrives, you may take him into a separate room, have him shuffle his tie or unbutton his shirt and rebutton it to fake the idea of him getting ready. However, if you're able to have a second shooter go to that location and get it organically, I think it has a much better result. I have shot a wedding, especially with my photography gig, where the distance between the bride and groom getting ready isn't that far, so I was able to go back and forth and get both of them getting ready. However, if you don't want to chance it and or the locations of the bride and groom are too far, then getting a second shooter is going to guarantee that coverage. My second tip is to always have a list of go-to prompts and poses to give to the bride and groom during a shoot. I think some of the most intimate and important parts of a wedding video or a photo session is the bride and groom after important moments. It might be the first look, or right after they got married after the ceremony, or late at night after they've been partying and they just want to be together. And in those moments, you want to be able to comfortably tell the bride and groom what to do. This is something that is going to get more natural with time, but you really got to break that barrier down of awkwardness and be able to talk to strangers pretty much. Here's a go-to pose that I learned from a photographer that you can use on your next wedding gig. So pretty much during a solo session with just the bride and groom, have the groom stand behind the bride, wrap his arms around her, and then have him whisper baby names into her ear. Most of the time, it's a very surprising thing for the bride to hear, and they start giggling and laughing, and you get a lot of organic smiles and a lot of funny moments that work really well in photo or video. My last tip is specifically for wedding videographers, and it's to have movement in 90% of your shots. This goes for any sort of style of wedding videos you're trying to shoot, whether it's a handheld, more documentary style, or more floaty on a gimbal. My biggest critique of my old wedding videos is that I didn't move enough. They come off really stale. I could have easily made these look a lot more professional if I had simply moved the camera or moved my feet. You couple that with this bonus tip of making the cuts a lot faster than you think, and I guarantee that your video is going to be a lot more engaging. I would look at my old wedding videos and just kind of get lost because it would just be one static shot for like 6-7 seconds. But in my newest wedding video, I was able to make sure I made a cut at least every 3 seconds. It keeps you really interested in the different shots and not bored. Just remember in post-production just to always ask, is my video too slow? Most of the time it is. Try out some more energetic music. I know violins and harps, they sound great, but maybe try an acoustic guitar with a drum set. The energy helps sometimes. That's it for this video. I just wanted to share a couple tips for wedding videography and photography. I know it's a little bit of a shorter video, but with the last wedding project I did, I followed that last tip that I shared with you, and I found it to be one of my favorite videos I've ever done. So that inspired me to put together a couple tips that I learned through the wedding videography and photography business to share with you guys. Well, that's going to do it. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.